How do we know it's not BPD? End of the day, it doesn't matter. If it's BPD, if it's NPD, if it's ASPD, doesn't matter. Toxic is toxic. How are they actually treating you? If they're a narcissist and they're treating you like shit, or if they're not a narcissist and they're treating you like shit. Like, which one is it? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And you need to hear that loud and clear. It doesn't matter what label this person has. What matters is how they're actually showing up in the relationship, how they're actually treating you on a day-to-day basis. That's it. We love someone that does not exist. I remember that when it gets hard to be no contact. 100%. Part of the reason, if it still gets hard to be no contact right here, right now, it's because there's a piece of a trauma bond. That is hope, potential, cognitive dissonance, intermittent reinforcement that is pulling you back. That is pulling you back to that person mentally, emotionally, the rumination, the intrusive thoughts that's happening every single time. You can go to escapetoxicity.com. You can click the link in the bio to start a 7-day challenge that we have to help break you free, because otherwise that mindset is going to keep you stuck. Okay? Difference between a narcissist and emotionally immature. It matters of how they're actually treating you. Like, that's it. Like, we can dive into some of the differences, but at the end of the day, so many people want to know, so they're justified in leaving. Well, if they're a narcissist, then I can leave. So if they're not a narcissist, you can keep like having someone abuse you. It doesn't work that way. But our mind, it wants to switch that around. You got to be careful with that. Okay? Is this a narcissistic statement? Add your past experience, and I doubt a man generally wants to know you as a person. I'm not following that. I'm sorry. Your videos help me so much. I'm currently on my healing journey, and I'm working on sticking to my boundaries. Awesome. That is so cool to hear. Actions, not words. They're compulsive liars, 100%. How do you manage when you can't leave the relationship due to finances? That is a really good question. Sometimes people have to separate their finances. Sometimes they have to get a job. Sometimes people check into homeless shelters. Like, I'm just being real. Like, when people want to change, they're going to do it. I would have you think through this idea. It's not because you don't have enough resources. It's because you don't know what aspect you need to be resourceful in. I don't say that to paint you in the box of like, oh, you can't do anything. I'm just saying a lot of people think they're completely stuck when they can actually get out. Okay? Just trying to help expand the thought process of what's actually going on. Watching them be different from someone else is the hardest. The thing is, there was probably someone watching your relationship with the narcissist being like, wow, they're showing up different for that person. Did it change anything? No, because they've moved on to another person. Okay? I want to know, because if they're a narcissist, they can't change. If they're immature, then you can work with them. Exactly. That's the reason why it doesn't matter. Because of people like this that want to say, if they're narcissists, then I can leave. And if they're immature, then I can work with them. Guess what? You can't change them at all. It is not your job. It is not your responsibility. Your responsibility stands with you, which means you don't have boundaries if you're letting that person be in your life, because a boundary is for you. It is not for the toxic person. It is not rules and regulation for the other person. It's for you, for your growth, for you to be able to help move forward in life. Okay? I know they say they don't talk about the future, but mine talk about the future together. No, I mean, absolutely they talk about the future. It's called future faking. Like, let me tell you something to be able to distract you on what's happening in this moment. Let me tell you something of future-wise so you don't actually hold me accountable in this current moment. Okay? Just grosses me out that they lie since the beginning of who they are about their family and friends, and they have audacity to have a double life that everything comes to light. The thing is, it grosses you out about that because your morals are different than the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't even care. Like, that's not even a thought to the narcissist. So you need to be able to like understand just a piece of that. Like, they don't even think about that. Might have come back a second time in 2021 to work on things, then changed an instant. Yeah, 100%. They can't stand to be left, so that's why I did it, and it killed them. Yeah. I see the pattern now. 7-year cycle, discard one supply, immediately jump to the next. Absolutely. How do you know if it's the final discard? Great question. You know it's the final discard when you make sure it's the final discard. It's your responsibility. Okay? It's your responsibility. Don't all happy relationships take work, though? Absolutely. But they also take another thing that is absolutely imperative and important in any type of relationship, and that's typically honesty. If you're in a relationship with someone who is not honest, who is not vulnerable, and is not consistently working on themselves, you are not in a relationship. Period. Because that other person doesn't care about themselves and definitely doesn't care about you. When we talk about a relationship taking work, that means you work on yourself, the other person works on themselves, and you work on things together. That only works if both people are actually working on themselves. It doesn't work when you're in a toxic narcissistic relationship. How is this person showing up? And you're like, well, I don't know. They say they love me. They say they care. Okay, let's put some words in front of it. How does he demonstrate love? How does he demonstrate respect? How does he demonstrate honesty? How does he demonstrate loyalty? How does he demonstrate care? When we start adding more things to the question, it starts to paint a different picture of the reality that you're actually in. That is the whole point of helping actually break you free of the thought process that you've been in for such a long period of time. This is why we have the challenge, $7 challenge at escapetoxicity.com, to try to help people like break free of the hard truths that they need to hear, break free of the guilt that they feel by being with a narcissist, and being able to move forward in their healing journey. When will he finally leave me alone? I gave him zero attention and he's blocked everywhere. There's no guarantee that he's going to leave you alone at all. That's why you need to like not even focus on that. Now, I'm not saying that to be like, oh, don't think about it anymore. That doesn't work. Okay. You have to rewire the thought process that you actually have. So you're not going back to him. You're actually focused on the direction. That's actually how you build boundaries. How many people are like, I don't know how to make boundaries? Okay. The reason why the majority of people don't know how to make boundaries is because you don't know who you are and you don't know the direction you're going. I'm not saying that to put anybody down. I'm saying that because it's true. If you know where you're going, if you know who you want to be, you start to develop boundaries. If you say, hey, like I want to live with integrity and honesty, and you have someone come into your life who's not honest, you're like, no, that's not going to work because I'm going this direction. But so many people don't talk about this. So many people don't talk about how you actually set up boundaries, how you actually build boundaries. That's stuff we focus on in the challenges, in the communities, to help you understand this is how you set up boundaries. I tell him all the time, he don't care. Then he says, if I didn't, I wouldn't have come back so many times. He's coming back so many times because you still let him, and he's manipulating you with that statement. He doesn't care. Think of it the other, flip the statement around. Well, if I didn't care so much, then I wouldn't have left so many times. Okay? There has to be something that happens for them to even come back. Could he still be love bombing his new girlfriend 2 years later, or is he bored at this point? It is possible. Do narcissists always reinvent themselves when you leave them? A lot of times. And a lot of times this is for the new person. Like the new person is going to look different, appear different, seem different. So it's like, why not? Like change up some of the stuff so I can act to be a certain way. Okay. He took the new supply to our spot, but captioned it as it was his first time there. Why do that? Because a lot of times a narcissist is not very creative. And if it works, why change it up? Like you need to understand, like narcissists sometimes can be very logical of like, if they do something once and it works, why would they not change? And everybody gets upset of like, I can't believe they did that. Why would they not? This happens the same way when they hoover you back and they keep coming back over and over and over again. You're like, why does he keep coming back? And I was like, well, you keep letting him. Because if you keep opening the door and he keeps walking through, causing a reaction, getting supply from that, why would he not? Does it make sense? Fully unblocked me last month out of the blue and made stuff public. Block him, block him, block him. Like, we need to make sure. Let's see. Doing well, doing well. Is it common that they have two relationships in the same time? In this case, for 2 years. Yes, I would say a lot of times that is common. Wouldn't say it's the norm, but I would say that is common. How do you know if you're being love bombed versus being genuine, especially in the very beginning? What I would say is it's hard to be able to know of like, am I exactly getting love bombed? But when you start looking at everything else all at the same time, that's where you pull all the pieces together. It's not like, oh my gosh, like if it's like, hey, this person is super similar, like we're soulmates, we're exact, we're perfect for each other. Like the stuff is like over the top, and you have your friends and family being like, whoa, like that's kind of crazy. You know, if you're getting like proposed to within like the first 2 weeks, like, I mean, there's a lot of different things that it's like how fast it goes oftentimes is an indication of like the love bombing aspect that you're going to see as well. They blame others for their actions. 100%. It's hard when the ex is a narcissist and his mother is too as well. You can block them and they still find a way to try to come back for the smallest conversation. Change your number. If they're still getting through, change your number. Don't let them in. You were in a narcissistic, what is it? He says it's my fault all the time and that he's never been like this before, even after hitting me. So Brittany, at that point, you need to leave. besides like needing to leave already. But like if that person is being physically abusive, like you need to get help. You need to call the cops. Like you need to do whatever. Okay. But you need to get out. But you need to be safe about it. So please be careful. Okay. It is not your fault that he hits you. Like that is 100% narcissistic. Like that is what a narcissist oftentimes does. Okay. Like it's like, you wouldn't be upset right now if you didn't check my phone and find out that I was cheating. Like you wouldn't be bleeding if you hadn't pissed me off and then I punched you in the face. Like a narcissist will make you apologize for the shit that they did to you. Like all of that is manipulation. The love bombing is usually the honeymoon phase or so. After years, yeah, pregnancy, yeah, 100%. No, absolutely. Like this piece of getting stuck in a toxic relationship makes you feel crazy. The cognitive dissonance is holding two opposing thoughts at the same exact time. And you're like, I don't know which one to believe. Do I do this or do I do this? Do I believe this or do I believe this? And it gives you high levels of anxiety, high stress, and it immobilizes you. So then you stay in a relationship for a long period of time. You stay in a relationship, you're like, I don't think I can get out. I'm going to just stay in this forever. And that's what you end up doing. Cognitive dissonance will keep you in a relationship for a long period of time, much longer than you want to be in. This is why we put together the Escape Toxicity Challenge, escapetoxicity.com. $7 challenge, 7 days. It's like 30 videos to walk you through step by step to start breaking free of the story that you believe. Because until you change the story that you believe, you'll always believe lies and go back to a narcissist time and time and again. He's still with her, which is so shocking to me. She must be something special. You want to know something, Stacey? She's not. She's not. But what you're going to do is comparison is the thief of joy. You'll start comparing yourself to her and you will lose out on your healing because you're too focused on another person. It doesn't matter. That's hard for you to hear. I understand that. That's hard to be able to process me saying that to you. But you need to understand when you compare yourself to someone else that the narcissist went to for a new supply, he might be doing that just to trigger you. It happens so many times. Block him, block her, block everybody else that's flying monkeys and work on you. That is the biggest thing that you can do on a day-to-day basis.